My name is Diaz, spelled Arelydiaz. I'm a local Providence resident and a member of the FAN Collective, which was formerly known as Fighting Against Natural Gas. We submitted this letter to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and I'm going to be reading it out loud to you today. Slower? Gotcha. Okay. National Grid LNG, hereafter referred to as National Grid, which is the applicant for the Fields Point Liquefaction project, is required to obtain the necessary state and local permits, licenses, and approvals, including a coastal zone management consistency review from the Rhode Island Coastal Resources Management Council, CRMC. National Grid is attempting to use exemptions limited to the federal government, direct federal activities, which allows the federal government the ability to comply with the Coastal Resources Management Program, CRMP, only to the maximum extent practicable instead of full compliance. Additionally, National Grid is claiming exemption to the state permit of assent and claiming that multiple sections of CRMC's federally approved enforceable policies are not relevant due to federal preemption by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC. Currently, CRMC is acting in accordance with National Grid's claims of preemption. The staff report, published on October 25, 2017, on the CRMC website states that FERC's jurisdiction preempts state law. At the first hearing held on November 14, 2017, CRMC Executive Director Grover Fugate stated that CRMC is very limited in terms of what we can and cannot review in the Fields Point Liquefaction project. Unfortunately, many aspects under our typical regulations have been preempted through the FERC process. The following letter challenges this assertion and describes how National Grid must fully comply with all enforceable policies of the CRMC and obtain the state-level assent permit from the CRMC itself. National Grid's attempt to avoid complying with the full extent of CRMC's enforceable policies is comparable to National Grid's unsuccessful prior attempt to not comply with Rhode Island site remediation regulations. National Grid's November 16, 2016 submittal titled Supplemental Information Related to Resource 7, Report 7, and the Soil Management Plan, which included a copy of a September 26, 2017 legal memorandum to RI Department of Environmental Management, hereafter referred as the DEM, claimed that federal preemption of state regulations under the Natural Gas Act and placed the responsibility for soil management with FERC instead of with the DEM. National Grid's November 16, 2016 submittal also included a response from the DEM on October 21st that agreed with National Grid's assertion that the FERC process preempted Rhode Island regulations. However, FERC's issuance on January 17th of this year from Ann Miles, the Director of the Office of Energy Projects, responded to this question of federal preemption over Rhode Island regulations and stated, and I quote, FERC staff believes that it is not clear whether the subject Rhode Island regulations and processes are preempted in this proceeding. State regulation is preempted by the Natural Gas Act when it interferes or conflicts with FERC's regulatory authority over the transportation of natural gas or would unduly delay the construction and operation of facilities approved by the Commission. However, the Commission encourages applicants to cooperate with state and local agencies regarding the location of pipe facilities, environmental mitigation resources, and construction procedures. Given the DEM's status as a cooperating agency and its special expertise and experience at the project site, particularly with respect to the collection of information and the development of remediation plans for sites like the one at issue, the DEM's active participation in this proceeding would assist the Commission in resolving the issues in this proceeding and ensuring that the public interest is protected. In assertion, Rhode Island has authority delegated to it under federal statutes, including the Clean Water Act, the Coastal Zone Management Act, and the Clean Air Act that may give the state both the ability and the obligation to deal with the environmental issues in this proceeding. Per this response, just as National Grid was required to abide by the Rhode Island state remediation regulations, CRMC should conduct a full review of the proposed Fields Point Liquefaction project to assure that it is consistent with all enforceable policies and require National Grid to obtain both an assent and a concurrence on federal consistency. Now, on the topic of the required assent permit, as National Grid is an indirect federal action as defined in the CRMC Federal Consistent Manual, actions not performed by a federal agency but requiring federal permits, licenses, or other forms of federal approval. Additionally, CRMC Federal Consistency Manual states, and I quote, generally, applicants proposing an activity within the first tier of Rhode Island's coastal zone must apply for a CRMC assent. CRMC permits are referred to as assents, and that's why I keep saying that word. When an assent from the CRMC is required and the proposed activity involves either a direct or indirect federal action, the issuance of an assent constitutes CRMC concurrence with an applicant certification that the project is consistent with the CRMP. In all cases, however, the issuance of a CRMC assent and the certification or determination of federal consistency remains distinct, even when the two processes overlap. Activities that require federal approval and are reasonably likely to affect any coastal use or resource, but which do not require a CRMC assent, remain subject to the consistency requirement. The first tier of Rhode Island's coastal zone generally extends 200 feet inland of a coastal feature. The proposed LNG production facility is within 200 feet of a coastal feature, the first tier, and requires a Category B assent per the CRMP section 110.2, in addition to federal consistency review. Sorry.
Ms. Diaz, your time is up, so if you can summarize the rest of your points.
So this is going to be submitted to you right now, but the rest of the letter talks about the enforceable policies in terms of the CRMC Federal Consistency Manual, which is quoted directly from the manual itself. It also talks about the variants that are required and the reasons why we believe there should be a full review. And it talks about the review procedures for indirect actions, as well as further stating what from the manual needs to be addressed. So I'm going to submit this to you, and I hope you take it into consideration. Once again, this is from the Fan Collective.
Thank you.